What's up, plant lovers? I'm Devin Wallien. I'm here in Zone 6B, Westchester, Pennsylvania, with some of my Asclepias plants. We're in the autumn time. The flowers have finished, and I have these beautiful pods growing off of my plants. You know, if you're unfamiliar with Asclepias, it is the only genus of plant that is a host for the monarch butterflies. So by growing Asclepias, you really do actually create a positive impact for the monarch butterfly. So that, you know, if you're a pollinator friend like I am, you should be growing at least one or two of those plants. But the great thing is you can start with one and increase the amount of plants in your garden by harvesting the seeds and then starting the plants from seedlings. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to harvest the seeds and then get them started and growing so you can grow more. The first thing that you want to examine is to determine whether or not the seeds are matured. So we're just going to find the seed, we're just going to gently squeeze them around the edges, and if they pop open, then that means they should be ready to go. These ones are still pretty firm. This guy not popping open either. So that means that we need to wait a little bit longer before we are able to harvest our seeds. So we're going to allow these to continue to mature. And when they are ready to harvest, we will revisit and we'll come back and pick the seeds. Well, so the seed pod has popped open. That is your sign that, yes, the seeds are ready. Let's take a look. We are here in the end of October, so we're about a month into autumn here in Westchester, Pennsylvania, Zone 6B, for a time reference of when you might expect your Asclepias seed pods to begin to get ready. Oh yes, by the way, this is Asclepias tuberosa, the butterfly weed. So let's take a look at these seeds. So as you can see, the seam has popped open, so I'm just going to gently open it up, and there you can see the seeds are these beautiful leathery brown seeds right here, and they all have this fluff which has been used throughout history for various purposes, such as filling pillows, as a matter of fact. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to just pop this right off. We'll check this guy. This one has not opened up, but probably it's a good opportunity, good chance that it is ready. And as you can see, these ones are also nice and brown and ready. So I'm going to take this one off as well. So of course, the next thing that we need to do is take them out of these seed pods. First, I'll just show you guys how many we can expect from a single seed pod. I had 3 seed pods altogether from 2 different plants. So here you can see all the seeds from just one plant. That's a good amount. That's probably like 50 seeds right there. And the next thing that we need to do is separate the seeds from that fluff. That'll make it easier for storage. So if you have just simply one seed pod like this, you can just manually separate the seeds from that fluff. But if you have a lot of seeds, what we can do is we can put them into a paper bag. So we're going to put them into a paper bag. If you have some that separate naturally, then that's great. Just collect those, put them somewhere where you're not going to lose them, like a nice white bowl. You can just empty it right into that paper bag. And once you have them in the bag, I got a couple coins, couple quarters, put them in there, shake it up. And we'll make a nice little hole right here in the corner. And hopefully I can pour them out and right into this bowl and they should be separated. Let's see if it works. Well, it worked decently, not bad. Still some fluff made it in there, but when you're dealing with just a couple of seed pods, really not much of a problem to just take the rest out just like that. And there we go, we have our seeds. So Asclepias tuberosa, as well as Asclepias incarnata, I believe all of the native milkweeds, they do need a period of cold stratification, which for me, because I'm gonna be planning on planting them outside in the spring next year, I'm going to keep them, I'm gonna put them in a envelope, paper envelope, not gonna seal it, just nice and easy like that. And then I'm gonna take this, put it into a plastic bag. Now this is gonna absorb any excess humidity that might be laden on those seeds, or we don't want humidity, we don't want any moisture on these seeds, so the paper is important for that respect. If you put it right into plastic and there's just the smallest amount of moisture, that can cause them to rot. So that's why we do this double protection. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put this in my refrigerator for the next 60 to 90 days or longer. They can hold for a very long time in the refrigerator. And then after that period next spring, when it's ready to be planted, we will revisit and I'll show you guys how to get these seeds actually planted, all right? All right, so we made it through the winter somehow, some way. My Asclepias seeds are ready to be planted. I've had them in the fridge for the last 3 or 4 months. So now let me show you guys how to get them planted in little containers early in the springtime so that once it gets a little bit warmer out, you know, they'll be sprouted and they'll be ready to transplant directly into our gardens. So I have some seedling starting mix. If you're looking for some seed starting mix, just go to the description. You'll find a link to what I use. And I always like to pre-moisten it. I have it in this bowl. I give it water until basically, you know, you take a handful and just a little bit of moisture starts to ooze out, just like that. You know, not too sopping wet, but definitely thoroughly moistened all the way around. I'm using little 3.5-inch pots. Then I've got my seeds. Pour some out. And then I'll just place them. I'll plant, you know, the seeds are so abundant, why not plant a few in here? Maybe 6 or 7. Then we're just gonna take a little bit more soil and just a real thin little layer on top. About 1/4 inch. And just leave it nice and loose. You wanna make sure all the seeds are covered, but you don't need to compact that soil down. Just like that. Now you guys know I'm a big advocate of using heat mats for seedlings and for propagation, so I'm gonna take these, since it's still too cold outside to be putting these outdoors, I'm gonna start them on my heat mat. If you don't have a heat mat, consider getting one, or you're gonna need to wait until it's a little bit warmer outside. You could try putting it into just a bright sunny window, but definitely they need the heat in order to get those seeds to germinate. They should germinate within the next 10 to 15 days. So once I see something going, we'll revisit and I'll show you guys how to care for it from one step to the next. So it has been officially 12 days since we got those seeds planted, and you can see I have about 4 seedlings that have sprouted in each pot. Now this definitely happened so quickly because of that heat mat that you can see underneath. That heat is so excellent for starting our seeds. And once you start to see something popping up like that, it's really important that you have lighting that is close to them and very bright. I have these little grow lights on. They're on for 12 hours a day, and it's about 6 inches away from those seedlings. That's going to keep them from stretching out and getting weak stems. So it's really important that you keep a light source on them and keep it bright and close to them. And I'm going to continue to grow them here until it's warm enough for me to put them outside. About 1 month later, doing pretty good. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. It's finally in the upper 40s, 50s at night, so I'm gonna transition these outside with all of my other seedlings now. All right, so we're well into spring now, and as you can see, my Asclepias tuberosas, they're getting nice and fuller. They're about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches tall, and I'd say this is a good time to get them planted. I planted these seeds, it would be about just a little over 2 months ago. So you want to get, I could even wait for this to get a little bit taller, a little bit more robust, but right now, it's going to be perfectly fine to get planted. And I want to do so really before the heat of the summer sets on. So we're in the middle of May here in Westchester, Pennsylvania. All right, so I'm in a nice sunny garden bed, gets at least a half a day of sun, and behind it is where I have some black-eyed Susans, I have some catmint in front, some creeping thyme as well. This is a great location to get these planted. So the first thing I want to do, move out some of that mulch. Oh, you can see some little worms in there, that's a great sign. And when we're popping it out, I'm just going to do so ever so gently. And there you can see, some of that soil might fall away and that's okay. You can see the roots are growing in nicely down there. And it's really just as easy as getting it planted. Like that. And then bring that mulch back on. And there you go. And definitely make sure you get any weeds out of the area so it doesn't have any competition. Well, and I think that does it for today's video. Now you know how to harvest your Asclepias seeds. You know how to germinate them, sprout them, and then replant them so that you can replenish your garden beds, create more of this beautiful plant, and really help all of our butterfly populations, but in particular, those monarch butterflies. Thanks for joining me here on Plant Vibrations. I'll catch you guys soon. Ciao.